Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the VCS opening day of 2022 spring here. We are already through our first series of the day, which is a pretty quick 2-0 blowout for the side of Luxury. During the break, I had a phenomenal time, gentlemen, because I had the opportunity to go make breakfast, which is something I don't do very often. So that was pretty cool because I had plenty of time. I don't know what you did during your break.
Oh, that was a question to us. We were chilling here and taking over the broadcast with German, as usual. It is the Vietnamese German broadcast after all.
Natürlich. Anyway, what I did during the break was definitely not eating pancakes with maple syrup and bacon on top of it, because that is one hell of a weird combo, I dare say. But I like the individual part of it for sure. Yeah, we don't eat it over here. I mean, it does sound something that shouldn't fit together, but maybe kind of does.
It's just sweet and savory. Basically, what makes breakfast food in America is whether you put syrup on it, right? Like if you put a pancake with a piece of bacon, that's effectively any meal. But then syrup, that's what makes it breakfast. That's there you go. That's your Americanized version of what happens with breakfast here in America. So you guys can be now we're the American, German, English Vietnamese Championship Series broadcast. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Now that our nonsense is over, we get to talk about Series 2 for the day because we're into another pretty interesting matchup because it is Team Secret versus SPTC. The Super Big Time Chickens came in now with a very different roster, same with Team Secret. Both of them, they kind of trended in different directions in the previous split because obviously neither one of them had a particularly good ending, right? They both ended up at the bottom, three of the entire split. The difference was Team Secret seemed to figure things out on the second half where they got more of their wins, especially in the last week. And SPTC kind of did the exact opposite, where at the beginning they were competitive up there with, both Saigon Buffalo and also with, our previous team that we had seen got whooped in Sky Esports. But between those two continued to be competitive, and SPTC kind of just fell off an entire cliff. So walking into this split, the biggest thing that we know about these two teams, they've swapped junglers. DNK for Penguin. Let me just get this out of the way because it's worth talking about right now. Do you think either side won this trade, or do you think that this is just a pure wash and that nobody really cares?
I think overall the whole topside trade is something that favors Team Secret a little bit because, I mean, their topside was certainly lacking and their kind of rookie-ish bot lane was kind of the shining light of the team, and them having like some veterans is something that might play in their favor. But I think for the jungle in particular, I think they kind of lost the trade because DNK over Penguin is something where I would definitely favor DNK, and I think in this regard at least SPTC got the better of Team Secret for sure.
I have to agree with Grincy there, and you talked about it earlier, is that SPTC was very strong in the beginning. A lot of that was Penguin just solo winning games. Consistently, in the first few weeks, he would just stomp enemy junglers and just make sure that his team would win. And to the later stages, he was just found out and he couldn't really do the same thing and couldn't really win games. So him alone, I think, is a downgrade from DNK.
Yeah, I think I'm willing to actually step out on that and say outright pretty much that I think I would rather have DNK on a team than Penguin on a team, barring the mental factor that DNK doesn't go and pick Zed on me and just decide to int an entire week's worth of games away, which is what happened in the previous split. We're not going to talk about that, unfortunately, though, because that was a bygone era of Team Secret. We are now into SPTC, DNK, and the rest of everybody else. Now, for Team Secret, a couple of important changes. First things first, they bring back Artifact, which I think is a pretty important piece because at one point Artifact was touted as like top 3 mid laner minimum inside of the VCS, competing at the Worlds tournament with some of the best mid laners anywhere in any region, but recently really did not have great performances, and that kind of culminated specifically in last split where it was really disastrous for Artifact. Now back on his home team, maybe something going there. You couple that with like Zuhao, who kind of stepped onto the roster a little bit late and really made a difference in the support role. What do you guys think about the not only the return of Artifact, but also just the potential for this team in general?
I think the potential is pretty high. I mean, the whole Artifact mid lane situation in SPTC was a mess. I mean, they were starting both their top laners in the beginning because Artifact couldn't play, and then he couldn't really train for a lot of the time, and it was really just a bad situation to be put in, and I think he suffered. But I still think there were some moments where you could see how good he can actually be. And I'm really interested if he can bring that to the table, if he can perform to that level. But he has to show it now this split. I think that's the big question for Team Secret, because if Artifact performs, if he can outperform the other mid laners, then suddenly Penguin is somebody who can, I think, very easily basically use that mid lane pressure to get into the enemy jungle and shut them down as well. And then you have a very strong mid jungle duo, and I think that will be a big win condition for Secret.
And Artifact has been had a very rough winter split for sure. I mean, he was at first out because of coronavirus, and then he played 5 games and he lost all 5 of them. So the potential to grow is pretty big for him, I dare say. And I mean, maybe even Penguin wasn't even that bad as we remember him to be, because I mean, he was basically always playing with a scuffed lane lineup on his side. And maybe, yeah, as Tim just now teased a little bit on, with having a good bot lane, also if Artifact comes back to form, a good mid lane as well, maybe he even just looks better and just has a small resurgence on his own in the jungle. And like this, maybe Team Secret with this lineup can at least aim for like the last playoff spot.
I think that's an interesting kind of posit, because I know that Milky's been really high on this team. When we get a chance to talk to him at some point, I'm sure he'll be all about Team Secret, especially if they take a dub today. The potential's there. They've got members, right? I think Hero had some good games in the previous split as both a top and a mid laner in a lot of different paces. We know what Artifact and Penguin are capable of doing. We've seen talent from Eddie. Zuhao seemed to step into a solid role. It's, to me, the floor could be so low for this team that there's a problem, right? That's at least where I stand on this circumstance. On the opposite side of it, obviously, we have SBTC, who did some similar things. They had perhaps the biggest of roster swaps among all other things, right? They built around Celebrity. They bring in 2T from Gem, who is like this rookie in the previous split who barely saw some game time. And they bring in Palette, who is perhaps the most tumultuous player inside of all of the VCS, in the opinion of all of our analysts, because of just how much we've heard about how good Palette is and what his play has been over the last year. So what are your thoughts on the rebuilt SBTC now that we've seen what the roster looks like?
I like the general approach, of course, because I mean, last split they had very much higher expectations than they could have maybe delivered on, because they finished second to last over a Team Flash that was definitely also struggling in even building a decent roster to even play the game. And their approach basically was blow it all up, and I really liked that approach, because they basically just kept the most integral part in Celebrity. I mean, with 2T from GAM, I addressed it earlier in the first series analyst desk segment, that I like what 2T showed on GAM. It was only just a small sample size of games, but he was definitely not looking too terrible on its own. And Palette, I mean, he has shown before that he is a decent player, and his last stints weren't too great, but he definitely has the talent in him somewhere. So I think with that approach, SPTC can also on their own just strive to be at least an upper mid-tier team again.
I think, especially, I mean, the bot lane, you talked a bit about it, Celebrity and then Pellet. They can be a very good bot lane. They have a high ceiling. I think Celebrity performed decently well considering how the team situation was last split. And the big question is now, can they perform? Because they have the potential, but they also have the potential to just be the most egregious in-thing bot lane to ever be witnessed in the VCS. And I think that will be the big question. And I think that's the big thing about these two teams is I think they have a lot of mechanical potential. They have a lot of potential in both of these lineups. It's just they also have a lot of potential to crash and burn. And that is the big question I have to answer.
Yeah, this feels really heavily like a prove-it split for both of these teams when they come out with rosters like this, because they're rosters that we could see ending up in a top 4, but they're also rosters we could see in a bottom 2, and I don't think anybody would be surprised at either of those results for either of these two rosters, which is kind of a terrifying place to be if you're either of these two, because when you're competing against, first off, the perennial victors in GAM, and then you have Cerberus, who stepped into a phenomenal place where they were dominating the majority of the previous splits. And then you even have like a new team like Luxury, who's really stepped into their role. But then you got like Saigon, Sky's previous split to have to stand up to. There's so much value in terms of what the teams ahead of them have been capable of doing. To come out with rosters like this, it feels a little bit, like I said, the competition's there, but again, this game specifically, I think, sets the tone for either one of these two teams, at least to start things off, mostly because the first half of the split's always different than what we see in the second half here in the VCS. We always get our miracle team to be able to come back, that kind of thing from happening. So before we get into draft, because it's going to be kicking off here in just a few seconds, just a few minutes at maximum, I want to hear about your most exciting player, because we've seen so many swaps, so many roster changes from these two teams. Whether they are a new player or not, who is the player that your eye is on in the course of this series?
I don't have a player, I have a position. I think the question we raised earlier, the jungle matchup, DNK versus Penguin, because both of these have shown massive potential and massive upside, and I want to see who outperforms here, because this can be a series that is simply completely decided by either of these junglers, and I want to see if either of them can do it.
I want to bring in a different position here. I want to bring in the mid lane, because we have 2T coming up against Artifact. It's kind of like the rising rookie against the veteran who has kind of fallen off in recent times. Not to his own fault, to some extent, we can of course argue. But I mean, I just want to see, like, coming into today, I would expect 2T to be even the slight favorite here. But I mean, Artifact, if he is back on track, he might just absolutely demolish 2T and solidify the position that Team Secret might have drafted themselves into with the roster changes they did on their end. And I want to see how the mid lane is going here, and if Team Secret can live up to the hype that they maybe have created out themselves, or at least I want Clockwork and Milky.
I think Team Secret has the potential to live up to expectations a little easier in people's minds, because you look at the name like Artifact versus somebody like 2T, and you're like, okay, it's Artifact, right? Like, it's impossible to see 2T beating him out. But this is somebody that we've had a very low sample size of, so we're not really positive that that's going to be the case. I want to point out one player, because we're about to start into draft, that I'm really excited about, specifically because of the C games and everything that they've been able to show during the course of that event, and that is actually Enper. The top lane role has had such a weird history inside of the VCS, because we've had random mid lane or top laners just pop up out of nowhere, and Pun was a big one in the previous split that really made a difference for Cerberus. But for me, Enper at this tournament was actually clowning a good number of top laners. He did it to Coded, he did it to Kiaya, he actually, I believe he did it to a handful of other top laners as well. So he was the one that was really impressing me. DNK was doing the exact same on the Lee Sin. They haven't had the greatest of success in terms of wins against other opposition, but those two specifically have stuck out very heavily for the side of SBTC, which is why I'm putting my faith in that team to actually take a win today. I think there's a lot of potential behind those members. Ooh,
and one thing I want to maybe highlight is that 2T comes from a team that, especially looking at the last split, I always, coming out of different leagues, clown a bit on the macro that the VCS brings, and I think that is somewhat warranted. But I think by far the team that had the best macro preparation and overall looked to be most prepared to play a decent macro was GAM. And 2T has seen some playing time with them, which usually also means he had scrimming time, which means he probably has learned some of that macro that GAM brings with it. And so he might be playing less like a rookie as we would expect it.
One can hope that that's going to be the case. Yeah, it's a great point. We're going to kick off draft, though, because we are beginning the draft process. Zeri is open, which is a terrifying prospect. Do we pull an LCK and let it to red side, or are we going to first pick it here for the side of SBTC? That's up for you guys to deliberate.
It looks like SBTC is not very interested in that. I would have been very welcoming of it, but they seem to value Graves a lot more than the Zeri here, though I wonder if Team Secret is willing to pick it. I mean, you could potentially flex it, but I mean, we have seen Darshan playing it in the top lane in NA Amateur League, but also we have seen it as a bot lane carry, so there are multiple options. Maybe against the Graves, you really wouldn't want to pick it here. It's not a good blind pick on their side, but they seem to just ignore it completely, but go for the Jinx instead, which is something I like. And Gwen, current patch, is a potential flex for top end jungle, so I'm really wondering to see where Team Secret is really going with this, because Penguin could also play it.
No. This is not a good matchup, boys. We don't pick Gwen into Graves. We don't do that here.
That's why he jungles it.
It's really not the way. That's why you jungle it. Aphelios, Jinx, normal matchup in bot lane, I would say. It's a standard one. Blinding Zeri is kind of risky, I feel like.
I think they put themselves in a position with the Zeri where, like, drafting it, you have to have preparation for it. They've played it at the C games, right? A couple of different teams have been able to pop it out. I don't know whether SBTC and Team Secret specifically have had it, but I've seen it be played alongside the Yuumi. So somebody in this league plays the champion. So that's at least something to note. The flexibility of the champion probably at least is a little bit under duress, and perhaps that's what they're working out to start with, is just how powerful the champion is going to end up whenever it decides to go into bot lane, go into one of the other lanes. Interestingly, also, to me, Emperor was actually playing the Gwen quite a bit inside of the C games in the top lane, which is what he was using to beat a bunch of other top laners. So to see them prioritize the Graves and then to have the counter pick for hero be the Gwen is a little strange to me, because they have to know that not only is that not a great matchup, but also, like, Genper's got to be prepared for that.
And not only is it a good matchup, they also picked the Xin Zhao, so it will be actually the Gwen top lane, or if they are like really weird, they could play the Gwen into the mid lane and maybe lane against Twisted Fate. Like maybe the Hell of Mist is good to like deny the gold cards or something, I don't really know. I think in the all-in, it might just be very good to destroy 2T there, but I think that the Gwen in the top lane is something that they aren't really doing themselves a favor with, and they are still batting away the Camille, so they themselves expect the Graves not to go top lane for some reason, and I also really question that they don't really pick a support for the Jinx to pair with, because Fresh already out of the table, Nautilus now getting taken away, they will ban another support, Karma also already taken out, so the best support options for Jinx are kind of dwindling away, and Team Secret really needs to find something to pair the Jinx with, because otherwise the early prioritization onto the Jinx doesn't really make sense to me.
Is Tim alive?
He's gone.
I see. Okay. Well, as long as there is not emergency, we're hoping that Tim's okay right now. So when he gets back, we'll have a chance to talk to him just a little bit more. So now we get a chance, I guess, to divulge further into the draft as we continue. We'll see what the pairing is alongside the Jinx when the time comes, of course, because we'll get a chance to see what Team Secret likely goes to pretty quickly. If they do give that up, again, this is a support matchup between two decent veterans in Paulette and Zhu Hao. Zhu Hao, of course, is the one that, like, you'd think they'd be more willing to give him a counterpick just because he is playing into something that, like, Paulette would have to be playing into. Paulette's the veteran here, so ideally you would have given him counterpick, but then you're giving up the position of your Gwen and everything else. So if they do want to do some crazy flex, this would be the position in which you want to do it in.
Maybe they will, but they just go for the Lulu, so it will be the Jinx Lulu bot lane. And I mean, the good counters against the Lulu are already taken out, right? The Leon and Nautilus are banned themselves on the side of the SBTC as well as the Fresh, so like, what do you really go then? Do you maybe even go for the favorite in the Alistar, or maybe do you go for a Phalos Rakan bot lane, which is something which would be playable here? Or maybe even Gragas support for Paulette could also be an option they go for. I think the Gragas, it should be support. I really want them to have the Graves into the Gwen top lane, because that would just absolutely demolish the Gwen potentially in the lane, and maybe even force the weird Gwen mid lane option that I still have in the back of my mind. But it looks like they actually go for the Yuumi last pick, which would mean that Zeri is, of course, falling through the whole ban phase on pick phase, and that they actually opt out of the Graves Gwen matchup. And I'm really shocked by this, actually, because I would have preferred to already have the self-counter pick exposed on the side of Team Secret, but they apparently aren't agreeing with me on that note, so it will just be the Gragas top lane for them. Of course, it is very strong at the current meta, with the Fimble Wilter build, with the Everfrost. You deal a decent amount of damage, still have very decent utility, and you also get very, very tanky. And last pick will be the LeBlanc for Artifact, which of course means 2T will not have a lot of fun in the laning phase.
See, on one hand, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, okay, there's things I like about SBT's composition. The other part of this is like, I really wish they had just taken Zeri, because then you would have like the Zeri Yuumi on the bottom side. You've got the gold card to continue and like control the mid lane. There's quite a bit that you get from the Twisted Fate. I don't know, like that would have been really fun. The other thing is that, of course, with the Lulu lock-in, obviously that had come through the 4th slot because they wanted the counter pick for the mid laner here for the side of Team Secret. So they needed that information pretty quickly. But my favorite matchup that I've actually seen up against the Yuumi has been the Sona, just because it's impossible to punish the laning phase and the champion just scales to infinity. So it's always enjoyable to be able to watch that kind of counter pick. But of course, VCS teams, we're not sure where they're at in terms of their own meta. So thoughts on the draft here, Quincy, just because we're wrapping things up in preparation to get into game number 1 here.
I think actually Secret got kind of away with murder here, because they picked the Gwen into the Graves and then just SBTC opted out of that. I like the Jinx Lulu lane very much, because it just gets a lot of priority. And against the Yuumi, you can do something in the first few levels to really guaranteed for yourself, and you just match scaling with scaling on their side. And in the mid lane, counter pick for Artifact can also like work wonders for them. The Twisted Fate will not have an easy time to really like get the push going against the LeBlanc and might just get pushed in himself. So the Destiny value really falls off. And I think Gragas against Gwen, you kind of win the first few levels there, but if you do not really get a good advantage there, you don't really have kill pressure there. I do not really think that Amber can pressure Hero too much there. And I think Hero, against his former teammate in the top lane, when they played lanes together, they swapped between each other a little bit last split. Will be interesting to see. I think Hero, in the later stage of the game, if he doesn't fall too much behind, should have the upper hand as well. So I'm going with Team Secret for game 1.
Ooh, a Team Secret win in game number 1 here of the split. That's a fair prediction. I really do like what SPT has done, especially with Celebrity and Palette on the bottom side of the map. Giving Palette a champion that he can't get punished because of his positioning, to me, is the most genius part of this draft coming in for the side of Palette. However, that doesn't matter because we're going to be kicking off into the first game of the series. And with that, we're going to be stepping aside to allow Jay Real stepping into the play-by-play position alongside Mobby once again to take over for game number 1.
Well, hello and welcome to game 1. Thank you very much, Analyst Desk. Team Secret being hyped up to potentially win this one. How are you feeling about this?
I'm looking across these drafts and I'm very interested to see how they're going to run it through. I think I was expecting a bit more of a bully or a stronger laner from the side of 2T, but he's decided to link up alongside DNK, and this mid-jungle duo core, I think, is going to be very crucial for this team's success. So I like to see them work together. I'm going to be very interested to see that. Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see them working together, looking for those Destiny gates, trying to maximize DNK's potential. And on the other side, we need to see Penguin pop off on this Xin Zhao, try and get enough of a tempo lead, get things rolling to the point where DNK can't just farm up and get to AFK on this Graves and reach that late game damage potential.
And we kind of talked before this game started. DNK, obviously a big shining light for this team, so obviously having him get ahead is going to be pretty important. But as you said, on the flip side, Xin Zhao needs to have an impactful early game. If DNK is just able to do his thing early on, well, it's not a good sign for Team Secret. But we get the junglers splitting the map here. We have Graves starting on the top side, whereas Xin Zhao decided to start on the bottom of the map.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing them try and make something happen. It's a little bit rough for DNK starting on this top side because he can impact the solo lanes very effectively. Lots of CC to work with. The bot lane's a little bit harder unless you have that Gravitum in hand for Celebrity, because there's just not really that much in the way of CC. And at the early level 2 for Team Secret is good, and it's a huge chunk of damage onto Celebrity. Team Secret coming away.
A lot of trading there onto the bot lane there from Secret, and this Lulu really putting in that work. Obviously, Yuumi does give up a little bit of pressure in the early game. Yuumi really making the pay for it.
Yeah, they're trying to say, they're pretty much calling, and Palette's basically calling the bluff, saying, Shuhao, you're a recent role swap. You're not going to be good enough. That's a bit out of artifacts. Not quite enough yet to make the kill. No ignite or anything, but 2T really feeling this punishment, this R5 LeBlanc, showing up good for artifact, and we do want to see him try and regain that status as one of the best mid laners in the VCS, which he hasn't had for a while, but he did manage to get to Worlds in 2019, and he did beat Damwon. So,
big show.
Yep.
Well, maybe he can make his statement here today. Obviously, we'll have to see. So far, LeBlanc, though, looking pretty strong, so definitely one to keep your eyes on. Right now, though, both junglers pretty happy with finishing. They're clearly going to be moving on to the Scuttlecrats, but no ganks so far. But if you are the side of Team Secret, are you looking to play through that jinx? Eddie does have a bit of a known sentiment to them that they are potentially the one to carry.
Yeah, I would like to see a bit of attention paid to the bot lane, especially in the sort of let them safely shove towers and farm plates. You don't necessarily need to try and pick up these kills in a gank, but try and give them the pressure they require to get ahead in farm and plate gold and all that sort of thing. But as it is, it's SBTC with the roam pressure right now, and it's forcing a little bit of a CS away from Eddie. So Celebrity gonna come up with a small lead from that. Good transfer of power.
Yeah, and 4 down bot side, obviously looking to make something happen. Respect shown from Secret though, making sure that they don't get dove, and it is going to buy a little bit of time for Artifact, obviously, to get some solo time in the lane.
Yeah, just able to pick up a bit of farm for himself, and we're going to return to this top side where we saw a little bit of a interesting choice trying to moving the Graves out of it. I initially thought DNK was going to bust out the classic Gragas jungle. But no, they've decided Enpa, we really want him on this tank, we want him on this role player.
Ooh.
And
Yeah,
it has, as a result, given Gwen a very free lane to just bully up and get a lot of get a good advantage going. Bit of only a small CS lead at the moment, but
but here comes DNK. They're going to be making this gank happen, and Gwen just gets absolutely body slammed. No way to get out. Is going to be picked up, but in the bot side now, Celebrity trying to pick up the kill, but Lulu going to turn it around with the damage. Eddie coming back in. Can they get the second? Yuumi just able to walk away. Low health bars means they're not going to get 2.
But it's only a Yuumi. What she's
she's going back. She's going to get the solo kill onto the Lulu. Eddie trying to make it happen. Is it going to be a double kill? It will not be. Jinx is going to just about survive and pick up another kill. Eddie there taking another one to go back to base with more gold.
Oh, so close. Another Q or another auto. That could have been a double kill for the Yuumi. That's okay. Overall, it's a win for Team Secret in the bot side. You get the 2 for 1. Both kills or a kill on to either side at a piece. You lose the first blood in the top side, but yep, you lose first blood on the top side. You get a dragon as well. So Team Secret coming out overall very far ahead, and Hero just overstepping a little bit, trying to trade on DNK in the right spot. That's slow, just doing a bit too much. And Gwen is not immune when Gragas is on top of her.
Yeah, and very aggressive play in the bot side as well. Celebrity trying to get those kills onto Eddie, but obviously turned round, and then, well, we weren't expecting what we saw next, you know. Yuumi just doing a whole different level of play with a 2v1.
Yeah, you just saw Zhu Hao trying to chase in and ends up tanking an entire minion wave for ages, and that gets them low enough that it's a dicey deal. And Eddie, that was very close to just the most absurd. And here's a gank onto Celebrity.
We are going to get the tower dive. Xinjiao going to be able to jump forward. The polymorph making it really difficult for the Sibelius. It's going to be 1. They should be able to get the second, but here comes Twisted Fate through the Destiny. Does get the stun onto Penguin, but now in a lot of trouble here. Taking so much damage from this Jinx, but they don't have enough just yet. But the dive will continue. They're going for more, flashing out of the tower range. They'll pick up the Yuumi. They'll pick up the Twisted Fate. 3 for 0 in the bot lane. And
that juggling was beautiful from Team Secret. Zhu Hao playing it absolutely perfectly. It just means 2 tiers teleports in and just feeds another kill over and gives another death. So starts off with a really, really simple pick. And Palat just survives a little bit longer than Team Secret was expecting. They wanted to back out away from 2T, but you saw the burst. They saw the burst coming out from Eddie and were like, "Oh, actually, we can do this we can get this really easily." And it was just, yeah, they juggled the aggro extremely well. We saw Zhu Hao and Penguin both on very, very low health numbers, so just played it on Knife's Edge and played it extremely beautifully.
And so far, playing to their win con as well. 3 for 0 on the Jinx, already starting to snowball. Not what you want to see if you're a fan of SBTC, because, well, we talked about Eddie being a potential carry for this team, but also on Jinx, the hyper carry of the meta right now. Arcane buff is fully active.
And we're seeing SBTC just say, all right, get away from it, go to the top side, get this Rift Herald. They're going to be there first, and Team Secret, they're not going to be there to respond, and I like that Eddie's just going to hang out, going to sit there. Maybe he fires an ult up and tries to go for the rocket steal, but I think you're pretty happy to just sit there and get the free plates onto your Jinx. Already got pretty much the entire way towards their mythic item, so gonna do a lot of damage. They've already taken down 2 plates, and a third should follow very shortly. It's just a matter of, can Team Secret defend this tower? Zhu Hao's up here, but it's a little bit slow from Penguin.
Yeah, they are starting to move people over. As there's a 2v3 so far, as the OCF Penguin going to be making his way there too. The Rift Herald could take a couple of plates here, but they're holding onto it for the moment. As DNK trying to maximize that value. But so far, the rotations coming out from Secret are going to be enough to hold them back.
Yeah, we've seen that. We're seeing the consequences of the first Destiny Gate really opening up in this mid lane. About a 30 CS, 25 CS lead for Artifact. Has done a bit of damage to this tower. Hasn't actually gotten a plate, but has managed to get themselves a very comfortable CS and experience lead. And that's LeBlanc being very happy. Hasn't really had to get out and roam so much, but definitely has that opportunity to try and, become a big side lane threat later on as it progresses. And 2T, the ultimate's coming up now, so I would like to see DNK get a bit aggressive and try and find an angle for the Twist of Fate to come down to support him and find that big pick. Here it might be with Artifact aggressing, but
he's going to make the play. The stun guard does land, but DNK just a little bit far away from Artifact. And you talked about plates. Eddie right now has picked up 4 plates on the bot lane as well. So they're trying to maybe make plays around the map, but they do have to at one point really focus on this Jinx. And I don't really see a way where they're bringing themselves back into this apart from sending 4 people bot.
Yeah, and Eddie's going for the Kraken Slayer, so trying to go all out on the damage and might even be looking for it's a bit too early to tell with just double daggers. He could be just about anything, but gonna be a Zeal item next. That's fine with Kraken Slayer because you can crank out those true damage shots. There's gonna be a second dragon picked up for Team Secret, probably uncontested. Maybe a freak steal from a Palette Q comes out, but nope, completely uncontested. Off to a fantastic lead in the objectives. There is still the back pocket Rift Herald, but DNK just does not seem to have anywhere he can really put it. There's no pressure in any of these lanes.
Yeah, talking about pressure in lanes, Penguin is lurking on the bot side. LeBlanc potentially going to be moving as well, so Artifact might join for the 4 in the bot lane. But Celebrity, they've decided to, back away. Jinx should be able to pick up this first brick. 11 minutes 30 in the game, and once again, just snowballing this Jinx further and further through this game, which is a bit of a worrying sign. It started off with a couple of kills. It's now getting more gold. But here comes the 2v1. They are trying to challenge this one, and a lot of damage from Aphelios. The final chapters are locking them down. It is going to be the pick, and that's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, greeted for that extra wave. Both his support and jungler had completely backed off. But they wanted to clear the wave. They felt safe. They felt confident, and it just... they did trade back a lot of damage, but you are in that 2v1, and missing that rocket means absolutely no way to win that fight. So it's a lot of gold. It's a decent bit of gold back into the side of Celebrity as he picks up that shutdown, and it says that it's not all doom and gloom for SBTC, though they are still looking at that 2 to 3k gold deficit at 12 minutes.
We'll see if that can obviously grow the dragons as well. Could be something that you maybe think about. You are now on 3rd Drake if you're Team Secret. The Soul going to be mountain. Does make the game a little bit more difficult for the side of SBTC, but it's a question of, are they going to be able to contest? 3k gold, it's not the greatest gold lead, but it might be enough to tip the balance into any team fight right now goes Secret's way.
Yeah, and here's the Rift Herald coming down, just timing out right here, and they've swapped up into the top side for Jinx, so hoping to farm a few more tower plates, I'm fairly sure, but Hero, he's going to have to do his best to play into this 1v2. Doing okay, but yeah, it's a bit of gold over to the side of DNK. He's going to have to sort of step up and be that damage, because as it is right now, it's just pretty much everyone on the side of SBTC falling a bit behind. Only really Enper feels ahead in terms of item breakpoints, but it's a much cheaper item to get the Chem Tank than it is for the whatever it's called, the Riftmaker.
Riftmaker, yeah. And that might also change now that they've swapped Eddie up onto the top side looking for more and more plates. Emperor being shoved back under this tower, not really going to have the best of time in farming either. It just feels like Secret have the tempo, they've got the strats, they're just one step ahead and they're making it work.
Yeah, they're really far ahead right now, and now here's the counterplay from 2T.
Destiny is going to be used 2T, taking a lot of damage though. That's going to be the first to kill, and Gragas didn't have the damage to pick up Lulu. It's 2-0 there, and they're now going to get even more plates. Celebrity moving up with Palette, but they are a little bit late, and they might be in trouble themselves as Artifact's going to be going aggressive here. Will be able to get the root, but Cat on the Aphelios, not going to get rooted down.
The exhaust coming in stops another kill from going over, and we're just seeing the deficit coming in from the side of SBTC. They did not have enough damage to burst out the Lulu, and it says no hope from here as Team Secret take out another tower, pick after those two kills. They can turn onto this Rift Herald as well to make it breaking open mid even easier, and just unable to kill the Lulu. Didn't even have the ult on her, so she didn't have that extra HP. She just did it as a backup after everything had been expended. So if you can't kill the Lulu, what hope do you have?
Yeah, it doesn't feel pretty good if you can't kill that Lulu. Obviously, Wild Growth did come through, was used, but that's going to be a spell that they have every single team fight they take, so you've always got to account for that one. Right now, they do have DNK waiting in the wings on this mid lane, but LeBlanc, notoriously difficult to gank, but has gone aggressive here. He's going to get hit with the Graviton, but not going to be locked down. They decide, you know what, she's a little bit too slippery.
And there's the Rift Herald taken, and that can be an easy transfer of pressure into the mid lane for this third dragon that's coming up shortly. Meanwhile, if we look across, well, we don't really have our scoreboard, so we can't really do a status check on items and see if SBTC are in that comfortable breakpoints, but there's a bit of there are options for SBTC to try and make something happen in terms of applying pressure into the side lanes. They have first priority, they have teleport advantages. It won't really matter right now because Team Secret are just going to beeline for this dragon as well.
A little trade there onto Jhin, obviously not the worst thing, and we are seeing a bit of a collapse now onto the mid lane. They are going to pop the final chapter, they're going to get the lockdown, the Crescent Guard going to hold back that damage, get knocked into the team. There's the Wild Growth though for a big knock-up, they're slowing this fight down, and Secret are now starting to mobilize, but a big collateral damage kills off Jhin. That could be a huge moment for this Drake. No smite now on the side of Secret, although saying that LeBlanc going aggressive onto DNK, going to take them low, but UV healing keeping them alive. Hero stepping forward as well, 2T is separated from the pack. Is he going to go down to the needlework? He will just about survive, and so far a 1-for-0 after a lot of action.
It is the jungler, and it is the Rift Herald gone as well, so not really a lot of pressure from the side of Team Secret. They just have to sort of... So their next play is either to just sort of hang around and try and scare off SBTC. And it looks like they've managed to do enough. DNK is heading towards this top side, and they're just seeding this dragon over. That's sole point. Seems like you could have stuck around and tried to muscle in with your numbers, but yeah, we see here in the bot side, looking on the map, Artifact and Hero are just so far away. They don't have teleports or anything to join in, and SBTC realize this and just jump on the 3 instantly. They pick up Penguin, that's massive, it's the smite, so that makes Team Secret a little bit more cautious. Unfortunately, for them, Team Secret has a very big gold lead and can just run at you and do a lot of damage. And that turns you off the dragon and takes it for themselves. So, although it's a good play by SBTC, Team Secret had that buffer to just clap back immediately.
Yeah, we talked about 3k gold lead 12 minutes in. They're now sitting at a 5k gold lead. As we can see, the items as well. Stacking up for the side of Team Secret. We talked about DNK getting ahead. Is that still the win condition? 101. Not really been able to really sink their teeth into this game. But is that really their shining hope?
It kind of is. It's either that or Celebrity, who, he's definitely very far behind his counterpart, but can still, if they are able to hold on, can still reach that hypercarry status with a Yuumi on his back. It's gonna be a little bit hard though, because you have to reach that status, and Eddie's gonna hit that well before you, and with the Putrefy coming out from Zhuhao very shortly, Yuumi isn't really going to be able to save you quite as effectively as you'd hope. Neither is the lifesteal from like a Severum or anything like that, so...
And then potential from the Soul, the Mountain Soul as well, obviously going to make that job even more difficult if your ADC, the other hypercarry, has a shield for free. So definitely going to be a big moment in 3 minutes when that Soul does come up. But do you see it kind of as a do or die for SBTC there? They have to kind of fight the Drake. If they lose this Soul, maybe they start losing game?
A little bit, especially because Celebrity has gone for the center option and built the Dirk, which has already been immediately nullified by the fact that Mountain Rift exists. And they've picked up a Drake, so good job. your item.
Talking about Rift, Herald has been dropped here. They are going to be able to get the tier 2 in the mid lane, with who we maybe see a fight after. SBTC going to walk back, just respect the potential from Secret. As we do see Emperor on the side getting a little bit of poke damage, but it's not going to be anything too serious.
He's going for the tank build, so his barrels are just going to be there to harass and sort of slow down rather than be any real threat. And here's an again.
Well, here we go. Gwen going to be jumping in with the Jin Shao. They get Emperor pretty low. Hasn't gone down just yet, but he will finally fall. And that is going to be a quick pick for them. They are able to just walk away from this, though. But once again, Secret just finding those small advantages and building this lead now up to 6k.
Yeah, and here they can get an easy reset and head straight towards the Baron pit to set up good vision, try and make the side lane pressure, especially on the top side, to the point where, you know, SPTC has to respond, has to try and walk into you and fight you, and they're so far down they don't want to fight. And let's see what happens here. It's just a bit of a flank. It's a good body slam from Emperor, but Hero just does not take any damage. He's just able to run him down easily. Artifact to finish it off.
And it's just a lot of damage. You know, Gwen has become more and more popular. We've seen it jungle, we've seen it top. It's just looking strong. They are ahead. They have the Riftmaker as well. It doesn't really seem that they have the answer for it just yet, but it also seemed like SBTC were kind of on 2 pages. You know, some people looked like they were ready to fight. Some people were like, nah, we're getting out of it.
Yeah, I don't think they really wanted to fight. I think Emperor was fairly happy to be the sacrifice with the and just maybe tried to go for an opportunity barrel and knock them in, but damage is just too much and just underestimated the amount that could be done. And so it just ends up going down. It's a small pick. In the end, it's not really anything massive, as there wasn't an objective that they could really punish and force off the 4v5. But now Baron is up. Now objectives are real. There's an Infinity Edge on Eddie, so he will churn through that Baron and anyone else who comes near him. But it's 30 seconds to the Dragon Soul, and that's a much more important objective for the side of Team Secret.
Yeah, Dragon Soul, as we've talked about a little bit already, is feeling like it's kind of the last few nails in the coffin. They're already so far ahead. The extra shield is just, well, I don't even know what that would be in monetary value, but it's going to be a lot. It's definitely going to make the game a lot harder. And do you see this kind of as almost like a go next for SBTC, or are there ways that they can bring it back? You know, maybe they trade for a Baron maybe here, or look for some crazy picks?
Well, considering the fact they're just conceding the Drake, I feel a little bit go next, or they're looking to try and play a game pretty much purely based around outsmarting the other team, and maybe try and go for big macro plays, go for these picks with the Destiny Gate, with the teleport advantages that they have. But on one side they get an outer tower, on the inside, on the bottom side they're just completely getting shoved in by Hero. And now that there's no Dragon to worry about for another 5 minutes, it's all Baron all the time for Team Secret, and they can just take it pretty much at their leisure as long as they have vision on DNK. If they ever spot him going to the bot side, it's basically just go time, I think.
Maybe SPTC. Maybe they're looking to flip the Elder. You know, it's a legitimate strategy, but definitely a risky one. Bringing it onto the map a little bit earlier, maybe it's 400 IQ. We'll have to wait and see. But as you said, they are having to stack around this Baron because it is pretty much at Secret's free will when they want to take it.
Yeah, we're seeing the Death Brush being set up. It's not really coming to fruition. They're just hanging out on this top side, but because of that, they've given free time to Gwen on the spot side, and Gwen shreds through these towers, so a free 600 gold for her. She's loving it right now.
Snip, snip, another tower and dip. It's just been Hero's way today. It's just pretty effective. You know, Gragas can't match in the 1v1, quite far behind, plus Champion just doesn't do too well into Gwen. And they've not really sent too much help towards the Gragas either. Obviously, there was that early gank from DMK, but since then, kind of just been on an island.
And now it's just move to the top side, take the Baron. If nothing else, look for the Force. Everyone's teleported in. Artifact's a little bit out, but it's a LeBlanc, so she can just get away.
And they're just doing this bad. Will they get the steal? They do not. It's secure from Secret. Now they're looking for this fight. Emperor is in the front line, getting snipped apart, but it's going to be able to stay alive for now. DNK able to get a bit of damage onto the side as well, but Hero trying to charge forward here. They're slowly but surely corralling them into this base, but will they be able to pull the trigger? Jinx almost picking up the kill onto Emperor, but it will not be just yet. Both teams just waiting out. There's the very lowest artifact around the corner. DNK just about going to dodge that finding, but there's the first kill, and it's going to be another 1-for-1 so far in this team fight. Will they start running this one through? 2T is in trouble as they're going to be charging him down. That's going to be 2 more. Aphelios has dropped as well. Yumi will fall. DNK, the last hope, is not going to be able to 1v3. More kills and ace over to the side of Team Secret.
And it's a quadra kill for Artifact. Not able to pick up the Penta. Eddie grabbed the first, but it was as well fought from SPTC as about you could hope from that position, just on the wrong side of the map, completely corralled, and it was a bit of heroics from Secret Agent Celebrity to get a drop on the Eddie and blow them up, but so it's a bit of gold back, I suppose, in terms of getting big shutdowns and that, but it's Baron on at least the solo laners from Team Secret. And yeah, this is a very long, messy fight, and it takes a long time for someone to die. But you see here, SBTC corral to the wrong side of the map. They have nowhere to go. They have to fight, and it just takes a while. Eventually, it goes in and dies. Then Eddie manages to pick up Emperor, get a reset. Where is it? There we are. That's the reset. Here we go. Celebrity and Palette in the bush. Being sneaky, they get completely ignored, and they're able to pop out and just shred through Eddie. They have to overcommit and get popped by Artifact in return, but it's all good. Artifact gets his quadra. He's feeling happy. He's feeling like he's saying last split was an anomaly. I'm back.
Indeed, definitely looking to make a point. And also, the fact that they now have Artifact picking up these kills as well just makes this game even more dangerous for SBTC, because now you got to think about Eddie. You got to think about Artifact Hero as well, putting in absolute work in these team fights, even though not necessarily getting the kills. It is just a triple-pronged threat, and that is just not the situation that your team comp was ready to deal with. Obviously, Aphelios and Graves, the main 2 carries, just not able to keep ahead, but maybe they get a mid-tower here.
Yeah, Team Secret moving to try and compress these side lanes, make the most out of their very split-up Baron. But Hero on the side.
Here on the side, they're going for the engage. The NK going pretty low. The rocket not going to finish off the kill, but they are going to keep chasing Celebrity with the Yumi, able to have enough speed, and 2T as well just about makes it out alive. So no kills secured, but maybe they can start using this to pressure onto the tower. Baron buff has already worn off though, so it is going to be normal minions.
They should be able to do a fair amount of damage to the tower thanks to this Jinx, and they're actually just going to be able to muscle down this mid lane inhibitor very effectively. That should give them enough to back off and reset comfortably for this this Elder Drake rather. But Emperor, he's looking forward, maybe trying to catch a straggler. Artifact on the side.
They're looking for something. Drake coming up in 34 as well, so right now Secret doesn't have to fight. They have the controlling position. However, SBTC do need to keep that in their minds, although they might not even get the time to think about it as the fight does begin. DNK getting taken pretty low here. There's the Jinx getting the first kill. Now getting excited. Will they be able to find more? Final chapter is going to slow at the advance from Team Secret, but it does not matter. On to the Nexus Towers they go. 2T on the side getting taken pretty low, but will be able to get back to the fountain as they do knock Hero in there as well. They will take 1-for-1, but can they defend the Nexus? It is over. Penguin going to knock them away. They go straight for the charge, but they're going to end the game before we get the full team fight. Team Secret coming out on top.
Yeah, very strong lanes into a very strong mid game from the side of Team Secret. Everything SBTC just weren't able to really respond to him, and they just fell further and further behind. DNK not doing anything on this Graves, and the matchups just falling apart as you know, the Team Secret, they did play extremely well, especially around that bot lane dive. That really blew the game open.
Yeah, it does feel like a head scratcher. Obviously, the analyst desk talked about this, saying the Graves into the Gwen matchup. It would have been a better time. Maybe that's kind of what they have to go for next time round. Do you feel like it was a bit of a draft diff, or do you think it was more about how they played the map?
I think the draft certainly didn't help Team Secret, SBTC out, but I think the biggest thing was Team Secret just played much better.
Well, the analysts were right. They did predict Secret to win the first game, but we are going to go to a quick break before we go to game 2. Is it going to be a clean 2-0 for Team Secret this week, or is SBTC going to bite back?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the VCS English Analyst Desk for the preparation of our second game here. Team Secret walks away with the win in our first game of the day. Back on the desk, Tim, you missed a banger of a series. I know you had very important in real life stuff to actually going on, but hopefully you were able to catch enough of that game to give us some kind of summary of your thoughts on what happened, especially after the draft, but then into how Team Secret was able to walk away with it.
I mean, I only saw basically the final version of the draft, and it basically ended up being 3 losing lanes, and then in game they lost, and then suddenly, well, when you have 3 losing lanes, it's not good. And it basically, like, the jungle matchup that I wanted to really look at didn't really develop, because you can't play jungle when all your lanes are losing. That's just not how jungle works, especially in competitive play. And yeah, it ended up, I think we saw SBTC fighting back somewhat in the skirmishes, but in the end, they just couldn't hold their own, and Team Secret won in the end.
And what a draft it was. I mean, we were at the point where it was like Team Secret self-counterpicking themselves with the Gwen against the Graves. And I said before the game, I mean, they kind of got away with murder with the draft. And it ended up being 3 losing lanes. And also worse scaling somehow, because, I mean, you had Gragas into the Gwen, you had Twisted Fate against LeBlanc, which, of course, LeBlanc not really scaling brilliantly, but Twisted Fate doesn't do that either. And losing lanes with Twisted Fate also, in general, a very bad look, because, I mean, where are you really porting to when you aren't really winning the side lanes? And with Aphelios Yumi, there was like a little bit of a combat for them if it ever does happen to go to late game, but then you still get outranged by the Jinx Lulu combination. So there wasn't really much hope for SBTC in this draft. So with that hard lost draft, you would usually expect them to win, of course, in VCS tradition, but it just wasn't meant to be.
I was really confused because SBTC, they came out with a position where they had Gragas potential for DNK, which is like an old special build. They had Emperor in a position with like a counter pick in top lane. They reversed those two, and then all of a sudden you have DNK on a farming champion, which is like, last play he was literally playing Zed and perma ganking, and that was working for his team. Like, I don't understand why they can't go back to. He was playing like Nocturne and perma ulting, and he was winning games off the back of all this pressure he's putting on. And they start him off in game 1 on something super hard farming that he barely had an impact with. They give Emperor a worse matchup. And then their bottom lane is like back and forth between the two. But like you said, the range advantage was just never going to go in their favor. And then they started trading in the 2v2, ended up losing that. Another really egregious thing that I noticed during the course of this, 2T got like half health by Artifact at level 1. This is a level 1 LeBlanc against a level 1 Twisted Fate. And he got half health before he even threw an auto attack at a minion. To me, that was indicative of Artifact just doing some crazy stuff. What did you guys think about 2T's first game as a starter here on SBTC?
I mean, it wasn't a great look. Also, I mean, the thing is, you talked a bit about it. Graves TF is a combo that can work really well together, because Graves brings a lot of damage, and then with the CC setup that TF brings, you have a very strong 2v2 if you're first on the play. The problem is, TF Graves wants to do one thing. You run into the enemy jungle, and you run down the enemy jungler, and you don't let him farm any of his camps. That only works if you have winning side lanes, or at least one winning side lane, and we'll come back to the problem. And overall, I think 2T was put in a really bad position, and then he played it badly on top of that, which ended up basically making him absolutely useless throughout the entire game. It's just, TF needs stuff to port to. He needs a jungler to support him, especially if he's in a losing matchup, which LeBlanc definitely is. He needs a jungler that can stand behind him and help him push out, and Graves isn't the best option for that. So, man, I mean, he didn't play it great, but he was also put in a really, really bad position.
Yeah, would definitely echo that statement. Also, this game, I mean, initially I said like maybe 2T is even the slight favorite because of how bad Artifact has looked in the winter split with him losing all 5 games. I mean, just now he already has more wins in spring than in winter. Just let that get to your head for a second. And
That's a
I really want to see. I want to see 2T in a different matchup, because I mean he didn't really get a fair chance. He didn't really make much of it either way. With getting half-life at level 1 is of course a rough start for him, but he got counterpicked. I mean, maybe this game with maybe a side selection change, he would get the counterpick this time, or maybe even get an even matchup where it is like somewhat fair, or where even he gets to have like some impact on this pick, because Twisted Fate with losing lanes is very much a bad look. We kept on harping on it, and I want to see a different matchup for him, because this game, Artifact, I would say, kind of redeemed themselves, but he was just feasting on a rookie in a bad matchup. I want to see more of Artifact as well, despite him just now getting a quarter kill and absolutely carrying the game with LeBlanc.
There was also a number of players, I think, on the side of Team Secret that deserved a good amount of props for the game that they just had. But I want to point something out, and I'm going to tell you a small story to go along with it. Inside of North America, I don't know if either of you know, one of the positions that is perhaps the weakest when it comes to development is support, to the point where 100 Thieves currently has 3x mid laners as their supports. Zuhao had, at one point during the course of that game, I had 100% kill participation on the Lulu, being able to just dominate the map. Is Zuhao the ex-jungler for what was Cerberus Esports? Is he already a better support than Palette as we jump into draft? I just want your opinions on this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so are supports actually just the worst players in League of Legends, and every other player is just better if they role swap to support and just flex on them?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
No, because support is a role that if you just learn support, you can do it with very easy champions that require no skill set at all, basically. But the thing is, if you actually role swap from mid lane, you bring mechanics and then you're learning about the game as well, or from jungle, and suddenly you have a support who is mechanically very good, has good understanding of the map, and suddenly he's a monster and much better. So yeah, I agree. Please role swap. It's like same thing with AD carries. Don't take AD carries. Role swap mid laners into AD carry and then look what they do with the opponents. It's not fair.
And also, if you happen to also from mid lane, top lane, or ADC to support full, you can farm better. And as we know, CS per minute is the most important stat when tracking supports.
True. See, now that's the real analysis we're looking for on our desk. That's what we're looking for the entire time. Okay, we just ended the bans. We just ended them. They just gave off our screen. Why do we have 3 picks already locked in? Thank you very much.
It's VTV. Don't ask questions.
I'm not going to complain too much. Yeah.
We have Gwen.
To put some respect on VTV, this time it's actually Spoots. He was kind of late with that, but no call out this time on VTV, calling out our producer. I hate to do it, but this time it's really not on VTV. Either way, the Gwen is back in for Secret.
Yeah, and we have Akali on the other side together with, once again, the Jinx Aphelios matchup. Woohoo! We love that matchup. It's not boring at all. Please give us more of that. Maybe some Victor Orianna in mid lane just to really spice it up there.
Perhaps. Oh, actually, we get the reverse matchup. Okay, this is Artifact. Gauntlets off. Okay, so 2T is a true Chad and deserves to be on the main stage. This has got to be a LeBlanc pick, right? Like, that just has to be what we go for. It doesn't matter what SPTC is going for in the draft. It's got to be a LeBlanc pick if he wants to keep his ego nice and high.
I already like the TF pick though for Artifact. It's very good into Akali, of course, because you can't just deny her Shroud entirely. Even in team fights, you don't even have to port. It's just when Akali goes in team fights, you activate your ultimate, and suddenly she's visible for everybody, which is really hard for Akali to actually deal with. And also the same thing applies if you ult top lane. She can't hide in her Shroud. Usually, it's very hard to gank Akali. She's very easily able to get out of any gank situations with her ultimate, with her E, with her high mobility, and then of course her Shroud, but in this case she won't be able to. And I'm interested to see if 2T actually decides to go for the Akali, because in the isolated 1v1 she does have a decent lane into the TF, so I could see them going for that, and maybe Emperor going for something else.
And what I want to see is what kind of build the Akali goes. We saw earlier in the series, I kind of teased the Tech Akali build, which didn't end up happening there because I think the Luxury top laner went actually for the damage Akali build, which is something that is of course more exciting to see, because the Akali still has some kind of counterplay and is a lot more flashy in the damage output, despite the tank build still doing decent damage. And yeah, to wonder if 2T is ready to pick it up, because against the TF it is indeed a decent matchup. You can pick it there. Against the Gwen, I'm not sure if it's a good idea, because the Gwen, with the Ignite already being the key summoner spell she uses, she would also cut down on the healing of the Kali very much, and maybe just win the stat check straight up against her. And now I really wonder who really gets to pick the Lulu here, because both AD carries would probably love to be paired with one, and SPTC, yeah, their pick is next, so they could just pick it themselves.
SPTC have put themselves in a position where, you know, Jarvan and Jinx, alongside even Nautilus now in this case, has given them at least a respectably solid team fight to work with so far, and especially with the Akali being flexible, if Emperor and 2T are both capable of playing it into Twisted Fate or into Gwen, we're in a place where SBTC is feeling okay with the draft right now. It's well-rounded at minimum. They might not have the greatest of champions, but they've got the pieces that they need in order to make something happen. On the side of Team Secret, though, now you're getting the Leona matchup, so we're right back to Season 8 support pool that has been around for the last 3 years for whatever reason. But I'm wondering what they're rounding this out with. Poppy would be a fun one because that's what Eastern region.
It has to be
play.
Poppy. Like, okay, this is griefing. I mean, Lee Sin is out, Vego's out, Gonzalo's out. You're playing against Jarvan, Akali, Nautilus. How is this not Poppy? How?
Penguin does not play Poppy.
And you could also double flex the Poppy with the Gwen together, because both could either jungle or top lane. It would be so good to pick the Poppy here.
Yeah, but we're going for Camille. It's going to be Camille in top lane. It's going to be Gwen in jungle, which means that Penguin now is the scaling one. And again, like, you have a scaling AP jungler together with a TF. Like, our boots are already so good in this game. It's so... You have Leona, TF, Gwen. Like, you just build MR boots, and yeah, and Emperor just goes for the Tryndamere. I was thinking about saying that he might go Tryndamere when he selected the Ghost instead of the Ignite. I was like, this smells a bit like Tryndamere. But Tryndamere is going to be really hard to gank due to his ultimate, of course, and him being very mobile with his E. And overall, I think this time SBTC got better out of draft.
I actually agree. I really like the tournament with the Camille. We have seen it a little bit in an A where EG played it against Cloud9, and the impact was absolutely smashing the Camille there, which is even played by Summit, who's arguably like the best top laner in an A we maybe have over there. And the stat check is usually the thing that tournament tends to win against every top laner, and Camille usually depends on that a lot because she usually just chunks down on tanks and has a free matchup here. The tournament, not so much. He doesn't really give Camille any sort of break, and the tournament alone is one certain win condition that SBTC now have. In the last game, they had 3 losing lanes, which made it a bit hard for them, but this time they definitely have some edge in the draft at least. And I also like the Jinx into the failures. You get the range advantage over there, and I'm not quite sure if the TF can have the same impact as he would have in a different draft, because Akali can really make his life miserable in lane. So I think SBTC has won the draft, so it will of course be Team Secret 2-0.
Is that the prediction for both of you because of the one draft on the side of SBTC? Is it a Team Secret 2-0?
I mean, I just, like, also from seeing the last game, I think Secret is just the better team. And I think they have a playable draft. It's not like their draft is absolutely unplayable, especially if they get into a snowball situation where maybe Gwen gets some kills or the Camille gets some kills or Phaeos gets ahead. They do have a very strong draft, but on the other side, if this game is going to be close, I see SBTC winning it.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens, because I think we have very interesting drafts and a lot better drafts to be more competitive on both sides of the rift here. As J Real Mobby, you're going to come back in and you're going to help take us into game number 2, potentially close out the first day of the VCS English.
Well, maybe it's going to be the last one we see today. It might not. You never know. SBTC could come through and pick up a win. And what a way to do it in terms of draft. You know, both teams just said, we're kind of done with this healing, shielding stuff. We're going full engage.
Yeah, it's a bit of a standard play for the side of the VCS. Just go hard and go home, and that seems to be the motto this time around. I think we're going to see a little bit more of the going home from the side of Team Secret this time around, mostly because I see that Tryndamere in the top lane, and I think you don't really have much in the way of stopping that at all. Hero is not going to be able to do much on the Camille up against it, unless he gets absurdly far ahead to the point where Emperor has to blow everything just to try and run away. But even then, Hero squishy, he can just stand and fight with that one once he has ultimate, and probably will win most of the time. And we're already seeing trades coming out right now. Emperor has automatically won because he can just press Q at any time. He gets another crit to just prove everything. I hate this champion.
Hero not having the worst time there, but at the same time, yeah, as you said, obviously the Tryndamere giving Emperor a bit of a better lane, which is a pretty good adjustment, you know, from SBTC, because giving them a rough lane last time definitely played into the part of losing that game. In the bot lane though, sides have swapped as well. This time it's going to be Secret that are taking the heavy trade early on. The level 2 coming through. Maybe we get first blood, hit the root down the last. Auto picks up the kill, and Celebrity is the one to take this one. Once again, proving Arcane buff just a bit too strong.
Eddie just taking way too much poke in the early trades with Celebrity and not being able to throw it back. Palette's just able to walk straight in and get the flash auto attack, and it's just done. It's just done for Eddie. He just took way too much damage and gets converted on easily by Celebrity. So very, very good pickup for him. He's going to be very happy, and this bot lane could be off to a fantastic start, especially if Jarvan makes his way towards there. But as is, he's in the top side right now.
It is lurking.
Yes.
And, it is going to be Hero that goes aggressive here. Emperor able to get away. The Ignite is ticking over, but here comes DNK on the Jarvan. Able to get a bit of damage down unless Camille has his hook shot. It could be risky, but Penguin now going to make their way up as well, so we'll deter DNK from going a bit further. Both junglers there making sure that they are seen, which means bot lane not going to have to worry too much as Palette actually came up to the top side.
A very early roam from Palette. He's feeling happy that they're trying to freeze in the bot side as Eddie, so he's not really losing out on anything right now, especially as Celebrity is also on the reset. But he's going to make his way down there. They're going to break that freeze. They're going to try and pressure Eddie as much as they can with this extra pickaxe. We're going to see how SBTC wants to play this next phase out. We've got 2T doing okay in the mid lane right now, fairly even. We're going to wait to see the level 6 come through, wait for the wave clear to really ramp up for these mid laners and them to start roaming.
And maybe Palette, maybe he heard what the analysts were saying about supports being bad. Maybe he's like, you know what, this game, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be everywhere. I'm going to show that support mains are good at the game and are really trying to make a stamp on this one, as we are going to see Penguin lurking around on this bot side. Maybe a gank could occur.
Yeah, we want to see Palette sort of show up. He's the last one left of that Feng Vu Buffalo lineup. We kind of want to see him succeed. But he's done very well thus far this game. But it's a one kill. It's not much has really happened right now. There's a small CS lead based off that freeze, as mentioned before. We just need to see where these junglers are going to path. Dragon is up and a reset coming through from DNK. He's going to make his way to the top side, so this gives an angle for Penguin to try and take this Dragon, but wards in the river means he's not particularly sure where this Jarvan is going to go. He's not comfortable making that call right now, but he will just help support his bot laner as they go in.
Ooh, Eddie, they're taking quite a bit of damage, and it did feel like Penguin was maybe looking for some sort of gank. Obviously not going to be found just yet. He's going to go over to that Dragon. DNK lurking around. They will have vision of Penguin. They know he's in the vicinity.
Yeah, Jarvan actually decided to move away from the camps that were spawned. Did not want to give up this early Drake. It is a... what is it? It's a Hex Drake. It's a Hex Tech Drake? I think you could have given that up fine, but they don't want to. Artifact seems fairly aware DNK is there, so he's just playing it fairly safe. 2T is not in a position to convert, so a lot of time being wasted at an early...
Ooh, Destiny on the top side. No ult for Emperor means it's a quick kill gifted over to Hero, and we talked about how this could be a problem over for Secret, but they're just making it work.
Yeah, this is the opportunity you have, that very small window. They find it before the ult is up, and because there's no teleport on the side of Emperor, he has to walk all the way back, so can be an easy crash for Hero. Might be able to take a chunk out with Q, but no, easy reset. DNK on the meanwhile is going to grab this Dragon, but nope, it's too early for a Rift Herald, but Penguin is going to sit up on this top side and take away the farm that DNK has neglected so far, but his bot side camps are spawning, so he shouldn't be too bad right now.
And we actually see the potential invade here from DNK. Going to be going a little bit aggressive. We get the replay of that top fight. So level 6 there for Hero does kick this one off, and we're going to go back to game. So hold on for that moment. But back in the bot lane, obviously we said that was a big momentum shift in the last game. Secret were able to really get ahead. It is feeling much better for SBTC this time around.
Yeah, but here's the play now from SBTC. Gonna try and collapse onto someone.
They are indeed. Eddie going to be able to get away for now. Flash heal was used, or sorry, just heal was used. And a little bit of maybe target selection there, questionable, as the Jarvan not able to get the knockup on to the Aphelios. They're able to walk out pretty unscathed, to be honest. And not exactly what you want to see if you're an SBTC fan.
Yeah, DNK misses the flag and drag flash onto Eddie. They could have gone for the more easier target on Zhu Hao and picked that up probably fairly comfortably. So here's a bit of repeat.
Ooh. Hook coming through. There is the root. Eddie going to flash early. There's the rocket though. One more could do it. The ignite's not going to tick out, but they may have left Zhu Hao, who is close to the tower, but is going to be picked up by the Jarvan. A nice knockup from DNK secures that kill.
Yeah, it's a good pickup. Good work from Zhu Hao, actually flashing in front of Celebrity to stop the ultimate coming through. So you know, support doing their job to keep their AD carry alive, but it's another kill to Celebrity. And it's going to be power play. It's going to be at least 2 into his pocket. So basically made up that extra kill he missed out on Eddie. But Penguin on the top side, going to try and trade back with a Reft Herald. Probably going to go top side with it, as there's a fairly comfortable lead opening up for the side of Hero, taking full advantage of this matchup right now with this Sheen advantage. Can probably do a lot of damage to this tower.
Getting Camille ahead, obviously, absolutely huge. We talked about how strong Tryndamere can be, the stat check champion. Obviously, if the stats don't work in his favor, then it's not a particularly fun game.
No, but yeah, it's a really nice hook, and the delay on that auto attack, Eddie just stood still expecting it to come out. That just meant he ended up taking a bit extra damage than he was originally planning, because you expected, you know, instant auto attack, and that's what everyone does on Nautilus. But that delay, it's mind games, man. It's mind games. Anyway,
Sometimes dodging is the best dodge indeed.
Absolutely. And here, again, Hero has full control of this wave. Enpa is sitting on nothing right now in terms of items, so he doesn't really want to stand and fight. Has the ultimate this time around, so it's not as bad for him. But yeah, the shield, the adaptive defenses are coming in very clutch in these very short trades.
Yeah, and across the board, pretty even. We always talk about Camille when it comes to ADCs as just, well, a bit of a nightmare. So winning topside for Secret might actually not be too bad. You know, SBTC is getting Celebrity ahead, but will they be able to stand the test of that Camille later on in the game? Obviously, Hexay Ultimatum, a little bit scary.
Yeah, making eyes towards Artifact DNK gets Flash.
And it's definitely something, you know, obviously DNK trying to put pressure on the map. So far, not getting the most out. Is on the top side now. Enpa taking even more trades from Hero, who is just getting more and more control in this lane. Now up quite a lot of CS as well, about 25.
Yeah, but Team Secret on the other side, they're getting this pressure down. They're trying to make sure that the losses on the bot side are going to be matched. But overall, this top side is just going so damn well. He's going for these really short trades where Emperor isn't really sure if the burst is going to fully come out and he has to commit the ult or not. It makes it really difficult because it's not like he's not all-inning. He's just going in, getting this short trade, and then running the hell away. So he doesn't want. So Emperor can't commit the ult, but here's an engage.
Hook in the bot side, we do see the depth charge go down as well. Leona is pretty much dead, and that's going to be a kill over to the Jinx. 4 travelled down to the bot side. Here comes Twisted Fate, though. A little bit late, but here to defend the tower. Penguin also on the bot side. So 3 versus 4. It is going to deter SBTC from going for more. But again, proactive plays from them, much better than what we saw in Game 1.
Yeah, and on the side of Team Secret, seeing a lack of any response tools. The Gwen just can't respond to something that close to her. She just sort of sits and doesn't do anything. Now Eddie's been left to his lonesome as the resets have come through. Zhu Hao's going to be here in time, but it's still going to force Eddie off this tower, give plates over to Celebrity, and it's just complete domination of the spot side. Penguin has to drop this Herald top to get something out of it, and even contend with this gold lead that's coming on the bot side. This first brick is pretty much guaranteed to go to Celebrity at this point.
Really nice players there from DNK, just keeping that pressure high, get the Jinx fed is what one Secret game won, and they're looking to convert that into their own. But on the top side, they are going to drop their Herald. This should be able to take the first brick, although it is secured by Jinx in the bot lane, so we'll be just slightly too late.
And now they're just, again, punishing onto Enpa. Enpa isn't really a dive target because of that ultimate. Makes him a bit too much of a problem, but you see the damage coming out from Hero. He's just removing this. He's just removing this Tryndamere, this R5 pick from the game. A good
Target on the bot side. They are able to pick up Zhuhao once again, so really forcing the pressure onto this bot side of the map, and they're now even whittling down the tower of the tier 2 bot. So Celebrity really starting to run with the pace of this game.
Now Enpa's in trouble.
He is indeed going to use the Undying Rage. We'll be able to walk away from that one though, but the tower may not be so lucky.
2T's here to make sure there's no wave. Hero is low as well, but I don't think there's going to be an engage. So manages to defend the top side tower, but it's and they also have the pressure on the bot side to grab a dragon for themselves as well. So off to a great lead again, picking up these objectives on the bot side. And what we see here, Zhuhao just a little bit out of position here. And I think Paulette just ends up getting betrayed by DNK a little bit with that ultimate coming through.
Yeah. Locked under tower, taking a little bit too much damage, but still good signs from SPTC. You know, they're starting to pick up a little bit of a lead. Only 1k though, I believe, if my eyes don't deceive me. It might actually be only 400. So even though they have been able to put a lot of pressure onto this bot lane, they're still not surging away. But the 2 dragons is going to be pretty nice. It is the Notion Soul.
Yeah, definitely not blowing it out as much as Team Secret were in that last game, but it's because of Hero on this top side. He has kept this game very close to even, and though Celebrity is, you know, extremely far ahead and will probably, in theory, do more in a 5v5 fight, having it all on the Camille is great for just jumping in and deleting Celebrity immediately. And with that gone, you're relying on a Tryndamere that's very far behind and an Akali to do your damage for you. I don't think that's going to be quite enough to get through the Aphelios Gwen with a Leona playing Peel.
Oh, bot side Enpa gets wiped off the map there. Camille Cho'Gath on the Q. It's just too much damage to handle.
Enpa just got his ult back as well, so finding that window perfectly. This is going to be a hero carry game, and we are seeing this boy step up. He is looking very strong after a couple of splits of looking very mediocre. Now, it could just be competition not the best. We still have to see him up against the greats of Kiaya, Hasmed, and the likes, but very good showing from Hero so far. This game might be on his back, and he might be able to get a clean 2-0 for Team Secret.
Yeah, keeping them afloat, definitely, indeed. Even pushing them a little bit ahead, as you said. Now they are the ones to go 400 in the lead with the bot tower tier 1 bot tower. Now they're looking at maybe this tier 1 mid to close out the trifecta. But Paulette and Celebrity not going to let this one go down easy. They do have the wave clear, they do have the damage, so they are going to be threatening enough to force them away.
Yeah, no one's currently covering 2T on the top side, and DNK is lurking around there, so that tower should be traded. Oh, never mind. That has not seen any damage to it before now. Yeah, okay. Kind of forgot Hero was just monstering that lane, so that thing was untouched. Yeah. But now Artifact, he's just gonna sit in the top side and keep that tower safe for as long as he can. Try and make some plays with his ultimate when that comes back up. And so far.
It's what we didn't really see SPTC do with that Twisted Fate. Obviously, Secret needs to try and open up the map with that Twisted Fate. Use that Destiny, not straight off cooldown, but try and get as many plays as possible. Obviously, it's supporting your side laners. And I think there's real scope for this, especially with how far Heroes got ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, linking up with your jungler is a little bit harder this time, like to get the damage through, because it's double AP. You can itemize against that. You can see the Merc Treads coming out from 2T and DNK, for example. But if you wanted, you could almost just commit Penguin to that side lane for a little bit if you really needed someone to cover it, and just let Artifact play sort of bodyguard for Hero. Play the sort of G2 style of one person hangs back behind the split pusher. That's the style, and let Twist of Fate combine with this Hextech Ultimatum and make sure whoever they choose is guaranteed to be popped.
Indeed, and talking about popped, I'm imagining that the action is going to pop up in a sec. We've had a bit of a lull. The next dragon is coming up in 1 minute, and I do imagine that Secret want to contest that.
Yeah, I imagine they probably don't want to hand off the Ocean Soul Point this early, especially when they're not actually that far behind at all. I mean, as we said, they're about a K ahead. It's pretty much completely even once you factor in the stats from the dragons. And now we're seeing the resets come through. Penguin not quite getting to that mythic, but has the Nash's Tooth in hand. So still on that one item spike, and has the lifesteal, the Omnivamp rather, to work with. So going to be the still deceptively tanky. But it's SBTC with prime position on the dragon so far, as we're going to see a reset from Hero. Teleports available.
Ooh, there's the solo flow. They managed to get Palette immediately. That is an early pick before the Drake. DNK now in a bit of trouble. Will be able to flag and drag his way out there. Gonna have to flash over the wall to get away from Artifactors. Celebrity is the new focus, but a good cleanse does give him a bit of wiggle room, but they're chasing them down. Snip will end their life as in comes DNK. They're trying to turn this one back around. Tryndamere also charging forward. Will be able to pick up the kill onto Penguin. There's a Kali popping off as well, but will they be able to camp out on top? Emperor with the ultimate being used, able to keep spinning to win. Gonna get stunned up, but here comes Camille. Hero, we talked about him being the savior for this team. They will finish this team fight with the 5-4-3. Hero left standing.
That could have been so much more if Eddie hadn't just walked past the Tryndamere as if he wasn't there and just ate all the damage and did nothing in response. Not bad. That's a... Oh! Juhao!
Okay.
Not caught shopping. Very, very good dodge from him. He's happy. He's on his way. And now we're probably going to see the same thing break out again. All right, let's see how it starts off. It starts with a good pick onto Palette. It sets Eddie up great. Lots of chakrams to work with. But they are still stalled out by a very good flag drag that interrupts Hero's dash. But the CC is still just too much there. They burn down Celebrity. They try so hard. And DNK did play this fight extremely well. And Eddie here, he could have just, tried to do anything, but he commits so hard to try and get an assist or anything onto the Akali that he just walks straight past DNK and Emperor, and he could have just popped one of them with the amount of chakrams he had. Probably not Emperor because of ultimate, but he could have done a lot of damage to DNK for sure. He just tunneled on the Akali too hard, and it could have been an easier win with more members left alive for Team Secret, and they could have converted that into a dragon. But as is, SBTC reset onto the map faster and picked up the dragon for themselves.
Yeah, so one away from Soul Point. Obviously a flip of what we saw last game. Secret were the ones in control. But the gold lead has started to balloon a bit, though. Now about 3.5k lead over to Team Secret. Maybe the fight starts to change favor.
Yeah, maybe the dragon doesn't necessarily have to be that strong if itemization is done correctly. Put a Morelos on Penguin or something like that. Plus, there's a lot of burst damage to work with that Ocean Soul isn't going to help with at all.
Another fight though, Eddie going to be popped immediately. Really nice pick from SBTC, but here comes the Hero. Going to be stepping forward into DNK, looking to pick this one up with the Hextech Ultimatum. Tried to dash away, but it will not be. And Enfer on the other side also trying to live, but will be going down soon as Palette, another victim of the Camille. 3-for-1, a huge turnaround from Secret after an initial pick from SBTC.
Yeah, everything's being blown into Eddie, but Hero is able to arrive in time, comes in on the backside and Emperor has already committed everything. His ultimate is blown early. He's not able to chunk through everyone to just wail on people. And it just means Team Secret, they have the gold, they have the damage to finish off the fight, even without Eddie being basically removed at the start. And they pick up the Baron. They can now really utilize the side lane pressure off the Twisted Fate Camille. Let's just see it play out once again. It's Eddie popped instantly.
Yeah, popped instantly, and it's Obviously, it's pretty nice in classic League of Legends. You're like, okay, get rid of the ADC, win game, but it just turns into hero has free reign because you have nothing to really use on them, and everyone's just trying to run away from the rest of the team. It's just a free-for-all. It's just easy pickings. And Camille, well, just you can't run away.
And yeah, look at Emper's target selection there as he pops his ultimate at half health and just starts trying to beat onto the Camille. Not the Camille, rather the Gwen. And she is a very tanky lady, especially with her steel caps and Omnivamp built into the Riftmaker. So didn't really end up doing much damage at all in that fight. And this Tryndamere, much to my enjoyment, has been absolutely useless. I always this champ do nothing, and I think it should be deleted.
Yeah, it was one that they talked about reworking. You know, I don't know if reworking would have been the play. Maybe he gets even stronger and still keeps the ult. But talking about stronger, Hero once again on this bot side, going to be able to pick up the kill onto 2T. As in the mid though, Palette trying to find a hook, did get it, but not going to have any damage on the end of that one as Moonlight Vigil coming down for a little bit of poke.
And we saw the interaction that was talked about on the desk, the ultimate, the Destiny Gate just denying the Shroud, but SBTC looking for something. It's not going to happen. This Team Secret are able to back away comfortably.
And here comes the TP as well, looking to get more tower pressure. They've already taken 2 tier 2s. Will they be able to get some tier 3s and some inhibs going? They are going to collect the bot. Tier 3, the mid is going to fall as well, and the inhibs are crumbling. What seemed a close game, Secret have really ramped up to take into their favor.
Yeah, it hasn't really mattered that they've had no control over the dragons, but it's just been monstering these team fights. Hero is 8-0-0. He has been involved in most of the kills. It's about 2/3, 3/4. I don't know. I don't know fractions. I haven't done maths in years. Anyway, he has done a lot. He's very good. He do good work on Camille. I'm very impressed.
No, indeed, very impressive. And we talked, well, the analysts has talked about it more, but they said about how the Tryndamere is dangerous. It's one you got to watch out for. Camille, well, kind of the dark horse in this race, came out of nowhere, just really making things work and picking up. And we are now seeing the next dragon going to be spawning in 15 seconds, and it's already Team Secret that are ready for that one.
Yeah, Team Secret have full control of this bot side, and as it is an Ocean Drake. You can kind of just give those up individually. They are basically worthless. But, you know, you might want to poke ahead and try and go for the soul if you're DNK or something. But they're not going to. They're just going to try the rocket, see if that works. It doesn't. And that's going to be a first Drake for the side of Team Secret. They are going to trade that off for a tower, so that's a bit of gold into the pockets of Akali. But is that really likely, as here's a collapse on top side?
Could be in trouble. Now there is the gold card. Here's a Felios able to get a bit of damage with a nice knockup from DNK, but it's not going to make a difference. 2T going to go down so quickly, and Eddie will finally fall, but also finds the kill onto DNK. Now 4 versus 3. Do they start opening even more towers? Is this top tier 2 on the menu?
So it seems to me that Team Secret has moved from playing to win to play to try and kill Eddie as many times as possible. Because this seems to be the playbook from them. Just blow everything on Eddie. Anyway, it's a 2 kills for 1. They don't need the AD carry at all. They have a Twisted Fate. They have a Gwen. They can melt this tower. There's nothing SBTC can do. It's fight now or lose the game. So SBTC, what you gonna do? Everyone's up. You have a numbers.
They're going to get the hook. They are trying to make this play, but Palette taking so much damage with a good knockup from Jarvan. Does buy them some time. In goes Tryndamere, looking to get that damage down, but there's Hero onto the backline, jumping onto Celebrity, who is very low, but still alive, and that's the team diving forward. They make it count. Double kill to the Camille, and now DNK running for his life away from Penguin. It's going to be the Akali to fall, as well as DNK is finally... Oh, no, I spoke too soon. I was going to say finally chased down. It will be a little bit longer, but they're just going to end the game.
19-9, they took the fight. That was basically the perfect fight for them. Multi-man knockups for days, so much AoE. They still lose it comfortably without losing a single kill going over. Team Secret absolutely turn what looked to be a pretty bad early game around and come out swinging hard with this draft. Huge props to Hero. Huge props to Artifact as well. These solo laners have really come alive this split, or at the very least this series.
Yeah, and the best SPTC, they had a better draft, and therefore they're going to lose. And they did just that. It is what it is. I think Secret, as also mentioned earlier, have just played better today. I think Hero really stepped up, as you said, just looking absolutely amazing onto the Camille. But with that being said, we're going to get back to the analyst desk and give them some more time for this breakdown on what a very clean series Secret had.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are wrapping up the first day of the spring split here in VCS 2022 on the VCS English Analyst Desk. Gentlemen, today was a really quick day. We had 2-2-0s right back to one another. Let's talk about the second series and how things wrapped up, because to me, having witnessed this series in its entirety, Tim, I mean, SPTC, they feel like neither one of these games felt particularly competitive. That second game especially, it felt like they really just had nothing going for them the entire time.
Yeah, it's. I mean, in the early game was going fine. They were ahead at some point, but they couldn't do anything. And I just felt like it wasn't even like in the first game. You could say, okay, it was to draft. They couldn't win. They did mistakes there. Second game, draft was fine, and they just were the worst team. I mean, Team Secret was just much better on basically every position.
I mean, I gotta disagree with the first notion of the host that in the second game they didn't really have anything going for them. The early game was fine. In the first game, from draft to anything in the game, nothing really worked for the side of them, aside from maybe the almost 1v2 double kill that Yumi had in that game. But in the second game, the bot lane was very far ahead. I mean, even in the finishing screen, I checked it, the Jinx was almost 100 CS ahead of Eddie's Aphelios. So they really had the win condition there. Even with the tournament not really working out, they still had the Jinx lane ahead, and this should have been a good prospect for them. But they didn't really look like they had any idea how to snowball it. And aside from that, I gotta say, Emperor just got gapped by Hero. Hero was absolutely outclassing him on the Camille, and we saw it in this one fight around the Wolf Pit, but it was like looking that maybe SPTC has an edge there, but then the Camille just stunned him at the right moment, gets him out of the fight there, and then saves his own support, and like this turned out the fight, and they end up winning it 5-3 instead of losing it there, which would have maybe otherwise been the issue. And yeah, Team Secret was just a better team today.
That was what was painful about the second game is even though they had this advantage on celebrity, even after they had that amazing early game and the bot side push that led them to solid advantage, they still felt like they had nothing. They had no way to connect DNK's ultimate alongside celebrity, alongside their two divers to really put it all together. I do wonder in the future how this actually plays out, because it felt like Enper, outside of the one gank that he received top lane, didn't get all that much against Hero. So it's two questions on my mind, is whether or not Hero actually receives more attention after a performance like that, because that was kind of insane, and whether or not Enper gets to actually play the game with some sort of support from DNK, or whether he gets locked in dumb baby jail and just gets put on Ornn duty like most top laners end up doing for their first split.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not sure. I mean. It's hard to say if it changes anything, if Enper gets ahead more here, if the jungle pressure goes towards him, because there were too many issues just in executing the later team fights, and Tryndamere alone is not going to win you the team fights in this game. I think bringing Jinx ahead and making sure that she has a good game is much better in the second game. And overall, I mean, last split, Enper was actually started over Hero for most of the season, so he should be, in theory, the better top laner, right? But they really didn't look like that today.
No.
And ironically, Endpoint was looking great on two champions, and those were Gwen and Camille. And those were the champions that were played against him this time. And it just must feel bad for him to lose against those. And before the series, we were also like calling out Endpoint as maybe one of the players that could step up on the side of SPTC. And yeah, today he just didn't. Gotta tell you, it's just day one. Maybe you just had a bad day in general, or you just look bad because you really haven't found the groove with the team yet. So remains to be seen if he just keeps underperforming or undermining our expectations of the player. But yeah, it's not the end of the world for them either way. But Team Secret, gotta say, predicted them to win 2-0, but that dominating fashion was something that I think no one expected from us.
I think Milky is somewhere obviously pumping his fist because he gets to say that he predicted the 2-0. So the brainless continue to outsmart the brain. Unfortunately, here in the VCS, that's just kind of the way that things go. I think that we have a lot more to see from SBTC when the time comes, and I feel as though Team Secret that wasn't fully indicative necessarily of what they can fully do either. But I think both these teams have room to improve. I feel like all four of our teams actually had room to improve today in terms of what we actually saw on paper. Team Secret showing probably the best of the performances among all things for a first day, but nonetheless, I mean, we have plenty more League of Legends to go over the course of the rest of the season. This is day number 1 of even just 3 days this week alone before we get into the remainder of the season. Tomorrow, very importantly, we get to see the remaining 4 teams that we have not seen yet, including, of course, Saigon Buffalo versus Flash in our first matchup tomorrow. But even more importantly, we get the matchup of all matchups in our favorite and our best game of the week in Cerberus versus GAM, which are, of course, it's a rematch of our finals from the previous split, where Cerberus finally was able to defeat, their opposition in GAM Esports at the time. I've been Rebel Fox alongside, these two fine gentlemen in Quincy and in Tim. You guys have been fantastic today. The number of casters we had Carex, J Real, Mobby, all 3 of you. Great stuff. Spoods as well. We're starting off the split in the right fashion. VCS English is here to make sure all the coverage is going to be around for as long as possible. We're going to do the best job that we can to get every game taken care of the way we do every single split. So stick around. Definitely follow us on socials. There's Twitter. There's all the good ones. There's the Twitch. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to look for links and things to donate money, all of that kind of stuff. Is helpful for continuing the stream a little bit further and making sure that the product just gets a little bit better. Until tomorrow, same time, same place, we're going to be having the next 4 teams and the ones we haven't gotten our first look at to join us in the VCS start of the split, among all other things. Until then, happy to have you here. Hope you enjoyed the product, and we'll be back tomorrow.